Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Bihari Gopi Janapalava Jaya Girivaradari Yashodhanandana Vraja Janaranjana Yamunatiravanachari Yashodhanandana Vraja Janaranjana Yamunatiravanachari Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. What's happening? Hare Krishna. Hope you're doing well. Okay. I'm back in the United States, and I'm going to be reading from Srimad Bhagavatam. You got to be consistent with your hearing and chanting, you know. Some people make excuses. You know, I can't hear and chant because of blah, 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 blah. But you got to be consistent, guys. If you want to get good at anything, you got to be consistent. Okay. So let's read from Srimad Bhagavatam. He was not selfily interested. Selfishness is neither self-centered or self-extended. He was neither. His interest was to please the supreme truth, personality of Godhead. The king is the representative of the Supreme Lord, and therefore the king's interest must be identical with that of the Supreme Lord. The Supreme Lord wants all living beings to be obedient to him and thereby become happy. That's the secret to becoming happy, is being obedient to the Supreme Lord. So if you're not happy, then you're not obedient to the Supreme Lord. Therefore, the king's interest is to guide all subjects back to the kingdom of God. Hence, the activities of the citizens should be so coordinated that they can at the end go back home, back to Godhead. Under the administration of a representative king, the kingdom is full of opulence. At that time, human beings need not eat animals. There are ample food grains, milk, fruit, and vegetables, so that the human beings as well as the animals can eat sumptuously and to their heart's content. Yeah, you don't need to eat animals. You don't need to ruthlessly kill animals. It's horrible. It's a horrible thing to do. Would you like it if someone slaughtered you? No. So don't slaughter other living beings. If all living beings are satisfied with food and shelter and obey the prescribed rules, there cannot be any disturbance between one living being and another. Emperor Parikshit was a worthy king, and therefore all were happy during his reign. See, I've been vegetarian for over 15 years, and it's great. Okay. So when people are like saying you have to eat meat, you don't have to eat meat. It's a choice. It's a bad choice because karma, what goes around comes around. If you hurt other living beings, then you're going to also be hurt. Text 13. Tat sarvam na samachakshva. Prishto yadiha kinshana manyes twam vishaya vacham. Snatam anyatra chandasat. Translation: we know that you are expert in the meaning of all subjects except some portions of the Vedas, and thus you can clearly explain the answers to all the questions we have just put to you. Purport: the difference between the Vedas and the Puranas is like that between the Brahmanas and the Parivrajaka's. The Brahmanas are meant to administer some fruit of sacrifices mentioned in the Vedas, but the Parivrajakacharyas, or learned preachers, are meant to disseminate transcendental knowledge to one and all. As such, the Parivrajakacharyas are not always expert in pronouncing the Vedic mantras. I'm not expert in pronouncing the Vedic mantras, nor do I want to be. But I understand the essence of the Shastras, which is you should be consistent with your spiritual practice. You should be hearing and chanting consistently. And the most spiritual activity of all is public chanting and dancing. I understand this through practice and through precept. are not always okay. So the Brahmacharyas are not always expert in pronouncing the Vedic mantras, which are practiced systematically by accent and meter by the Brahmanas, who are meant for administrating Vedic rites. Yet it should not be considered that the Brahmanas are more important than the itinerant preachers. They are one and different simultaneously because they are meant for the same end in different ways. So there's different ways, the same end. The Brahmanas are chanting their mantras in perfect meter for the pleasure of the Lord, and the preachers are also preaching the message of Godhead, for the benefit of the Lord. So, different paths. But like Krishna says in the Bhagavad-Gita, those who preach my message are very dear to me. So you want to be very dear to Krishna, preach his message. There is no difference also between the Vedic mantras and what is explained in the Puranas and the Itihasa. According to Srila Jiva Goswami, it is mentioned in the Madhyadina Shruti that all Vedas, namely the Sama, Atharva, Rig, Yajur, Puranas, Itihasas, Upanishads, etc., are emanations from the breathing of the Supreme Being. The only difference is that the Vedic mantras mostly begin with the prana of Omkar, and that it requires some training to practice the metrical pronunciation of the Vedic mantras. But that does not mean the Srimad Bhagavatam is of less importance than the Vedic mantras. On the contrary, it is the ripened fruit of all the Vedas, as stated before. Besides that, the most perfectly liberated soul, Srila Shukadeva Goswami, is absorbed in the studies of the Bhagavatam, although he is already self-realized. Srila Sutta Goswami is following his footsteps, and therefore his position is not the least less important, because he was not expert in chanting Vedic mantras with metric pronunciation, which depends more on practice than actual realization. Realization is more important than parrot-like chanting. Yes, people can talk about like how important the holy name is, how important it is to chant in public, and they can recite the scriptures, but they don't even do it. So yeah, it's better to do the thing than talk about it. Vedic text 14, Sutta Uvacha, Dwapare Samanu Prate, Triye Yugeya Parayaye, Chata Parasharad Yogi, Vasabyam Kalaya Hare. Sutta Goswami said, when the second millennium overlapped the third, the great sage Vyasadeva was born to Parashar in the womb of Satyavati, the daughter of Vasu. Okay, to be continued, my friends. Just getting some daily dose of hearing. See, I could read this by myself, but why not read it for the benefit of others too, right? That's how I do things, guys. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Yeah. Hare Krishna, have a great day.